Hey everybody, welcome in. Happy Friday. Always the best day of the week. And I hope everybody's doing great. Just waiting for this thing to pop. Make sure we got audio. And then we'll go through all this blessed content and talk about how this time supply shock is really for real. And we got audio. Let's go. Again, happy Friday everybody. This is all about supply shock. And this beautiful little graphic is the shelves are now kind of empty. Reminds me of April, May 2020, when you'd go looking for things like bathroom tissue and there'd be nothing on the shelves. So anyway, enough of that. Let's go. Disclaimer, it doesn't matter. You guys know the drill by now. Math, money, and freedom. Some math here as well. So let's talk about the market. Now, when I began this, Bitcoin was at 3570. So let's see if we can beat 3570 to the end. And obviously this chart's gone down a little bit since then. But you can see it's a very red day, but not too bad. I mean, 0.4% on Bitcoin is nothing. 1% is nothing. Ethereum is down a little bit, but it's still above that 3,500 level. So Ethereum has had an amazing week. And we have Solana in the green, Filecoin, Elrond, Phantom, and Shiba Inu. I don't even know how to say it. All in the green, but the rest red. But let's talk about some of those reasons later. So first of all, let's jump in and talk about how I believe we are actually, stuff I've been talking about for a long time, like supply shock is coming, supply shock is coming, supply shock is coming. But now, for the first time ever, I think it's here in earnest. And I'll show you some charts to back that up. So first of all, this is one I showed a few days ago. I think it was on the 4th of this month. We are running out. So this metric shows the long-term holder supply shock ratio is at an all-time high, which essentially means that the coins have not moved in a long time. Consequently, they are considered unavailable compared to tokens that were recently transferred and are regarded as available or liquid. And here you can see how it has skyrocketed lately. And this is typically what happens before a very big bull run. So massively bullish, but let's go a little bit deeper as always. So here we have proof that the hodlers are not selling, but they are accumulating and accumulating at a rate that I've never, ever seen. And I've been looking at these charts since 2017. So basically, this is another new all-time high. The previous one was 12.65 million Bitcoins. Now it's 13.26 million Bitcoins. And just FYI, 2.35 million Bitcoins were taken off the shelf while only 180,000 were produced by miners. And you know what the miners aren't doing? They're not selling. They're holding as well. So there's no supply hitting the market like in the old days. And even if there was, it would be nowhere near enough to satisfy and satiate the demand that we are seeing right now. So let's talk about what's going on. So the smart people, they are living frugal lives. I retweeted this earlier from Happy Shilmore, but literally every penny people are beginning to stack away because they know the writing's on the wall. They know that this is the hardest asset. So anybody out there, if you are thinking about buying a luxurious item that you can live without, postpone it, wait 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and live as frugally as you can and invest as much as you can. This is a transformative time. And I've been saying that for a long time, but there you go. Back to the charts. So let's talk about the supply shock at a 4-year high. Now, another way to view this is from CryptoQuant, is basically Bitcoin spot reserves have dropped down to lows not seen since October 2017. And we all know what happened between October 2017 and December 2017. Yes, Bitcoin went ballistic. Now, the spot reserves is a Bitcoin indicator that shows the total amount of coins held on wallets of all spot exchanges. So another way to view how desperate things are becoming real quick. So let's talk about another way, another thing I like to look at. This is the liquid supply change over the 3-month HODL wave. Now, what's really cool about this is if you're ever looking for a buy signal that never fails, this is it. And every single time you see, obviously, liquid supply dwindling and the HODL wave shows the maturation of coins, this combination paints an extremely bullish supply shock picture. And each time it dips through the line, it is a strong buy signal. So basically, the red line is the liquid supply change divided by the 3-month HODL wave. And it's every time it pierces the actual price of Bitcoin, it's off to the races. So again, something extremely bullish to look at. So let's talk about some super bullish extensions. This is one here. So those of you who are familiar with Fibonacci extensions, you'll see the bottom in 2012 to the top in 2013, and from the top in 2013 to the top of December 2017, each one extending further, and each one using the same Fibonacci extension level of 2.72 log based. This is from TechDev, by the way. It shows you that if history repeats, not saying it will, but it's uncanny how it did work in the past for the last 2 cycles. If it does for the third, we'll be ending up somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000 a Bitcoin. Again, just assuming that 2.272 log Fibonacci extension level. But another way to look at what the past did and where we are today is here. It's another view of the same, but basically where we could end up. And I know it sounds like hopium, but bear with me. There's more goodness to show. But here you saw exactly at the same stage, the little red arrow up shows you exactly more or less where we are today and where we could go in the future. And obviously, as you know, I do believe we'll be extending into 2022. This will not end by Christmas. So the cycle is very different. So let's talk about another chart. This one is, again, back to Treasuries. And these, the amount of Bitcoin on balance sheets that we know of, very important. There's a ton that we don't know of, but it exceeds 200,000 Bitcoin for the first time. And remember, each time a Bitcoin treasury buys a bunch of Bitcoin, it prevents a lot of people from getting their hands on that Bitcoin too, unless, of course, they buy shares in that company, which can become very expensive, as we've seen with companies like MicroStrategy, Square, and others. So think about that too. Now, this is Dan Moorhead from Pantera Capital, a very, very big fan of his research. I think his firm has had the best analytics on Bitcoin and crypto since the beginning of time. They started doing this in 2013. And like I said yesterday, and 100 times before, I believe 85% retracements are a thing of the past. Dan Moorhead said today that he believes they are also a thing of the past. So yay for Dan, and I'm glad I get backed up by somebody who really, really knows his stuff. So Dan did say, though, from Pantera, obviously we are in a new bull cycle, which means patterns may not repeat. He also did say that Bitcoin would hit his price target of 115,000 by August 2021. But you know what? He still has time. Yes, he may have missed that time, but you know, it's extremely difficult to predict and have a perfect crystal ball that nails times exactly. Sometimes I miss it by 18 minutes when I say something's going to happen at 2 a.m. and it happens at 2:18. We're all fallible. We're all human beings. And this is just for entertainment purposes only. But the point is, he believes that the Bitcoin halving cycles as a timeline for price movements will no longer be as consistent as the past. And basically, historically, we've seen 2 bear markets where Bitcoin has lost about 83% to 85%. But the most recent 2 little corrections we've had have gone down 61% and 54% respectively. So let's have a look at exactly what he's talking about. And again, more charts. Sorry about all the charts today. It's almost like a TA Tuesday. But using their model, which is a direct depiction of exactly what happened in the past, you'll see the 3 previous bull markets that begin with a small pre-halving rally. So this would have happened before May 11th, 2020. And typically the pre-halving rallies are a 5.7x, a 3.4x, and a 2.7x, just small little ones. These are kind of consistent, which is good. But that's not what we care about. We care about the post-halving rallies. And we can see here, the first one, post-halving rally in 2013 was a 93.1x from bottom to top. Then in 2017, we had the 30.1x. And now we are already at 7x so far. So I always had this theory, and I did this in a video a few months back, where I believe everything is in thirds. If anybody who knows me knows I believe in thirds, breaking everything into thirds. And this is what I did with this particular chart, which I found uncanny. So if we look at the first third, same chart again, I just put some narrations over it. We went from $10 to $1,000. Okay, so call that a 93x, just for simplicity, call that 100x. Second time we went up 30x. So from 30 from 93 is a third. So my most conservative expectation in one of my price prediction models for Bitcoin for this cycle is to be a third again of what we did last cycle, which would mean a 10x. Now, the important part here, everybody, is last time we had right at the halving price, I think it was May 11th, 2020, the price was $9,651. So a third of the 30.1 should take us to exactly $97,000. We'll see. But the point here is, well, each subsequent halving's impact on price will taper off, and the importance of the halving will become less. And that's why I also believe, like Willy Woo, this could be the last bull market per se. It might just go on forever because of demand. Demand is only going to accelerate. It's not going to be cyclical. It's going to be the dominoes falling, as I also say. Countries, sovereigns, institutions, the JP Morgans, the hedging replacement instead of gold. It's all happening. So again, I'm not sure if we're going to hit 100K, 97K, 108K, which was my original target, or go to 200 to 288 to 300 to 250. It's about 5 people calling for 250 in this cycle, but we'll see. But I like to sandbag so people are not disappointed, but I'm very confident we'll see 97 to 100K based on these super conservative numbers. So again, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Now, the real catalyst could be this. Again, this is a cool little betting board from Bloomberg, and I talked about it yesterday, but these are the exact odds of when and what the probability is of a Bitcoin ETF being issued, being approved. So first of all, there's two types of ETFs. You have physically backed ones, which means actual physical Bitcoin ones, which is under the 1933 Act from the SEC. And then you have the futures ETF, which is under the 1940 Act, which Gary Gensler loves. And I think this is much more likely to happen. Now, if we look at the first one, the ProShares Bitcoin ETF, October 18th, 50% chance of it happening. So we'll see what happens. Other ones are less likely, like the Galaxy one has 50 to 1 shot, which is highly unlikely. But either way, if you add up all of these together, there's a 75% chance that a Bitcoin futures ETF will be approved in October. And that'll be big. So let's go. Now, Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners are not the only ones as well hodling, and not the only token with a huge supply crunch coming, but Ethereum does as well. Whoops, bouncing all over the place. This one, switching gears to talk Ethereum for a second, and I've just recently, after seeing a lot of stuff and a lot of extremely bullish activity happening with Ethereum, again, I think the miners think that too, and they are holding, they are not selling. So we saw, just like Bitcoin, the miners aren't selling, and the amount hodled by miners for Ethereum has hit an new all-time high as well. So that total amount is worth about 0.5% of the total supply. So it's not that much. I think the total supply of ETH is about 117 million, but it's becoming deflationary. So in a couple of years, it could be 100 million ETH. But that is also extremely bullish news for Ethereum. Watching that space carefully. And the people like Raoul Paul believe it could go to $35,000, $40,000 very easily this cycle. So hold on to your ETH, everybody. Let's talk a little bit about a little warning sign. This is financial advice. Everybody be careful. I had a lot of questions regarding Shiba Inu. I don't look at these things, but I did today. I looked at the chart and looked at some specific things and some on-chain data. And you can see very clearly that huge blocks of Shiba Inu were bought. And they were bought at those places where I put 3 little blue whales on the chart, just to show you how it's being manipulated. What they do is they suck up the supply by buying it all cheap, and then they peter it out to the audience. Now, first of all, the circulating supply of Shiba Inu is 394 billion. The total max supply is a quadrillion. Okay, there is tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of this stuff. that can be dumped on the market at any time. So again, this is a whale-fueled pump and dump scheme. Be careful if you're out there. You look at the Bollinger Band in this chart I have here. We're completely overbought. It will come down. Again, gravity will suck it down. And what they're doing is they're sucking retail investors in to speculate. And then they're going to clobber them over the back of the head, take all their money, and leave them holding the bag. So be careful out there. First time you've ever got financial advice from me, this is a manipulation, big time. So it's pretty clear to see as well. And give you another investing perspective for people who are new to the investing game and have made a lot of money by speculating on certain assets. If you look at the history, these are the top performing assets over the past 10 years from John Ehrlichman. You can see Google did a 10x, Apple 10x, Microsoft 10x. If you can do a 10x in 10 years, that is considered historically a huge score, everybody. So just to, again, give you some perspective of how the real world works. Amazon 14x, Netflix 39x, Nvidia 56x, Tesla 143x, Bitcoin, Bitcoin's kind of crazy, 13,300x. So, and just to note as well, I own Google, Tesla, Bitcoin. I did own Apple, I sold it. I owned Amazon, I sold it. I own Netflix, I sold it too. So the point is, it's very, very important to pick the right horses, go in hard, because when you compare these guys to all the other stocks out there, they crushed it, dominated everybody. So that's why it's important to find the winners and hodl hard. So anyway, just want to share that with you all. Another piece of perspective that I wanted to share that I thought was very interesting, getting back to Bitcoin, is this. This is basically shows you the value transacted per second. Each dot is worth about $10,000 per second. And you can see that XRP handles about $10,000 in value per second. Then you have Doge, $80,000, Ethereum, $90,000, and Bitcoin, nearly 3 billion a second. So the point is, a big thank you to the Lightning Network. Bitcoin is no longer a store of value. It's something completely different. So anyway, I thought that was cool. A little bit of political news. This is Cynthia Lummis. She bought $100,000 worth of Bitcoin in August. Good for her. And we know politicians are good at investing. Look at people like Nancy Pelosi and stuff, and people who work to the Fed. They have access to really good information and can make really good trades. But anyway, she's a very good Bitcoin maxi, so good on her. And I don't think she has any evil intention. But very happy she stuffed her bags, because I think it was a few months ago she announced she had about 1 or 2 Bitcoin. So not a big stack. But now she has more, at least 2 more. Maybe she'll have 4. 3 is the magic number to retire. A little bit of bad news too. This is a little bit, now I know people love Tether, etc., but this was a very good article. Big thank you to Sanjay as well for sending it in, from a guy called Logan Kane on Seeking Alpha. And I won't go into too much detail here, but the TLDR is, I know people hate sniffing out danger, but it's something that we all need to do. So please, if you're out there, don't hold any USDT. There's smoke with XRP and there's smoke with USDT, and we'll see what happens. But the key thing in this article is there are problems. Basically, I think Tether owns, I can't remember the exact number, it's on there, but a truck, let me see if it's written here. I think it's $35 billion worth of commercial paper is what backs up the $70 billion of assets, not dollars, but commercial paper. And if that is the case, and the most interesting stat from this paper was, if that's the case, that means Tether owns nearly 5% of all commercial paper on planet Earth. But nobody, not one company, nobody admits to owning that paper. So the other thing is the assets are being commingled, which means it's very difficult to decipher what's what. They did have an American audit firm called Friedman, and they quit. They dumped Tether as a client. They just couldn't make heads nor tail of exactly what was going on. And finally, when you get 6 to 12% return on an asset, obviously there's high risk, so watch out. And this article expects Tether to be dead in the next 1 to 2 years. So be careful. Now, the good news is, even if it does crash, as I said before, the stock market may get a small, brief hit of 2%, and the crypto market may dip 5 to 10% briefly and then rebound back. So it won't be the end of the world. So don't worry, but it just will bring a lot of scrutiny to stablecoins in general. So be careful out there. And finally, yes, it's not complete without talking about the IMF. IMF hates Bitcoin. And obviously we've heard from the IMF and European Central Bank and all these other people, but they say digital currencies backed by central banks are the most reliable form of digital money. Do not trust Bitcoin, according to the IMF Managing Director, Kristalina Georgieva. At the same time, they think it's the same party line. I mean, write a new script, please, IMF. You need some new party words. But basically, crypto assets can be used to launder ill-gotten gains, fund terrorism, and evade taxes, all of which are bullshit. But anyway, there you are. Thank you, IMF. And that's it. So let's open up to a little bit of Q&A. Hope you like the content. That like and subscribe. And for those people as well who think these videos are too long, I do the content in about 20 minutes. And feel free to sign off. And then I open up to Q&A to answer people's questions. And all super chats go to charity. So that's why I do it. It's my way of giving back and our way to sponsor animals. So let's see if we have any questions. Let me see. And a big thank you to the moderators and K8 for managing all the super chats. And Luke is back. Luke Broyles, you're the man. If ETH supply shock continues faster than Bitcoin and 2.0 is a success, could ETH be a dominant market driver for the next 18 months? Would Solmatic, etc. follow ETH? The answer is yes. That's why I remain quasi very bullish on Ethereum, not only because of their network effect, their dominance, their moat, but if they nail 2.0 and they got a new release I'll talk about in a few days, coming in a week or two, to solve some of the gas issues and help scalability, that could be big. And also, if they do everything perfectly and execute perfectly, there's no doubt in my mind that the market cap of Ethereum could exceed that of Bitcoin. Maybe. We'll see. Because you got to look at what ETH is going after. It's a $400 trillion market. So even them just getting 1%, that would be a $4 trillion market cap for Ethereum. But you're dead right. The Solanas and the Polygons and the Avalanches and the Algorands, they'll all take some market share too away from Ethereum. But right now, a recent stat, Luke, was I think 90% of all NFTs are still sold on Ethereum. So the other smart contract platforms haven't put much of a dent in Ethereum yet. But I've had my bets very well hedged by having a very large position in Solana. Nowhere near as big as Ethereum, but wish I could get there. Oh, there you are again. Luke, how to balance knowing when you are too diversified versus too concentrated. Diversification is for idiots, as Buffett says. Don't want excess risk. Yeah, if you look at having this conversation a few times over the last couple of days, couple of weeks, I think my words are resonating with people. But if you look at my crypto bag, 97% is made up of 3 names. If you look at my equities bag, 97% is made up of 4 names. That's it. And one of those 4 names in my equity bag is MicroStrategy, which is basically Bitcoin. So I am extremely heavily concentrated in backing winners and identifying winners, and I've been doing that all my life. I don't, and I've got a very strict discipline, I don't dabble in anything that has any type of risk. It has to be the best in class, the best in breed. And hopefully that message will get out there. Because if you have, like somebody shared something the other day, I think they were holding like 50 stocks and 25 cryptos. The end result, an equal distribution of everything, the end result will be average, which would be like crap. You're not gonna win that way. You can't. Even if you pick a few winners, your percentage will be too small, and you have a whole bunch of losers to balance out the winners. So you're gonna end up flat. So thank you for the question, JP. I have 80 Sol locked in exchange till mid-November, 10% yield. I'm keen on locking in again, I believe, in the project, but maybe missing out on the selling opportunity. What do you do? I'd hold on, JP. I think we're good till March. So as long as you have the ability to get out by, say, Feb sometime, I think you'd be safe. I hope that helps. But yeah, I wouldn't be concerned about that at all. And I have a lot of confidence in Solana. Big Duck Kiwi. My nephew is starting out and unsure whether to start DCAing from now or save up for next dip. Advice? Again, as I mentioned in the video, there may not be that dip. There will be volatility, that's guaranteed with this type of asset, but there may not be that big retracement. So get some now. and ride it up and then decide what to do. But sitting on the sidelines on cash for the next 3 to 6 months, which is what it could take to get to our destination, is not a good idea. Not financial advice. And you know what? The most important thing is when young people get in the market and get in early, it is the most valuable thing ever. Even if they make mistakes, just being an investor at a young age, like at 20, 21, 18, 25 is huge. So urge everybody that you know who is young to just play in the market and get in early. And that's where you make truly life-changing money. And the expression is, it's not timing the market, it's time in the market. So I hope that helps. Joseph M, would you short Phantom short term at the current price at 2.4? Futures too dangerous. I think too dangerous, and Phantom is one of those that is just growing so much in TVL. I am analyzing it again. I looked at it before, wasn't impressed, but now some of the metrics that we use in our smart contract profiler are really ticking up. So I wouldn't get in the way of that freight train at all. So be careful there. Kyle Brooks, I have a third of a Bitcoin at 39.5K. Just picked up 10 Solana at 157. Would you continue? Yeah, I'd continue layering into Bitcoin on any dip. We had a beautiful dip on Solana a few hours ago. Actually, it went down to, I think, 152.4. I missed it by $1.40. It was like, ugh. And even me buying at 150 is ridiculous, because last time I bought it was 121. But I had a feeling it was just going to wick down. I just missed it. So I'm buying at these prices, and I believe people should layer into Bitcoin up to 65K, and then we reassess there. But I think we could get to 55 or 65K pretty quickly based on all the stuff I just covered. So hope that helps. Chad G, if you were Dr. Evil, how would you attempt to kill Bitcoin? Does 007 save the day at the end? And remember, a 1 million ransom won't cut it with inflation. That's a good one. So it really is very much, I shouldn't use the word, but it's a cockroach. You can't kill it. The incentives are built into the game theory not to kill it. People have tried. Countries have tried. And it's just, you just can't. So if I was Dr. Evil, I'd switch teams and become a good person and find ways to help society. So there's honestly, there's ways that you could hamper Bitcoin, but there's no ways you can kill it that I know of, other than shutting down electricity for the whole planet. That is, but even then, once you start up the machines again, it's back to square one because you have the record. So that's it. Caligula. Question 1. Nishi Yagorov. China goes to war with Taiwan. How would it affect Bitcoin? It would not be good for the world. I know that there's American warships in the South China Sea right now. There's American submarines down there. So, people are moving the chess stuff around the board, and they do this to prevent a war. I think it's a whole bunch of saber rattling. China's just seeing exactly what the US would do by playing these games, and I hope they just back down and let Taiwan be. But in the next year or two, it wouldn't surprise me if something does happen. War does not help anything. In terms of Bitcoin, I believe it would be a flight to safety. I believe the stock markets would crash hard. And if there's any type of nuclear weapon used, all bets are off. Then people have different concerns, and it's not about the value of assets. It's about survival. So I hope it doesn't happen, but the Chinese are doing some really stupid things right now. So anyway, no, not the Chinese. I mean the Chinese President Xi. I hope he doesn't come after me. Question 2 from Rebecca. Are you still bullish on Matic? Yes, extremely bullish on Matic, and it had a huge pump today. And question 3, asking for a friend. How much Bitcoin for one trophy wife? Oh dear. I think, oh lordy. That's not any reason to get married, so I couldn't condone such behavior. I think people need to have a very, very common interest in their partner and be able to do everything together 24/7. That's the secret to a good relationship. And if somebody wants money, there is no future in that relationship. Nobody needs a trophy wife or husband. So, Jonathan Block. James, did you look into Voyage Digital at 10? Yeah, I did. I passed. I found different equities I like. So it is super cheap. It has an expectation of going to $24, but I think there are faster horses. So I had a good luck. I do believe Voyager could get back to $24. I like the way they have a lot of Bitcoin in their balance sheet, but there's other things that rattle me a little bit, and I wouldn't touch it. Again, I have 25,000 assets in my fingertips. I pick 6. That's it. Just to get into my little club, you got to be very special. And I don't dabble in other things, and I don't advise anybody else to do. It's just too risky. Max Corell, because of your vids, I have over 500 sol. That's enough to retire on. Excellent. I'm heavy in my sol bag. Layer out into whole Bitcoin or ETH or keep it. I keep it for this run. I think we'll see. If sol goes to like 250, start selling some and repositioning. If you've got no Bitcoin, sell at 250 and then layer into Bitcoin. Do it in thirds. Sell a third at 250, stick into Bitcoin. Another third at 300, 350, stick into Bitcoin, and the last third at 450. That's what I would probably do. But keep some as well. But think about that. Like, it's very hard to say because we've got to see exactly how fast everything goes. And right now, as Ethereum rises, so will Solana for sure. Max Quirrell, because you have, I covered that already. Richard, I have allocated funds to Sol, Polkadot, and I have 5K remaining. Would you go all in on Matic? Let me see. This is a tough one. Polkadot has a lot of open questions, so I'm glad you're not buying more of that. But it could really do very well if they nail their power chains. But now there's so much competition in that whole space. I do like Aave and Uniswap. So if you don't have any of those, I think about a little bit of those. I keep layering into things like Aave and Uniswap as well. I have enough Matic. And I'd also think about Chainlink, which is another very safe one too. So there's lots of good, safe options that will still do very well in this run. So have a look at the charts and have a look at my price predictions and put them all out in a spreadsheet. It's a very good exercise. And just go with your gut as to what you believe most in and which you understand the best, because it's very, very important to be deep in what you invest in. I always say, before you buy a stock, do your due diligence like you're going to marry it. Same thing with crypto. Wesley McDonald, I have a big bag of Phantom at $1. I'm planning to exit 450. Do you think that is realistic in this bull run? I think, again, depending on how high we go, 250, 350, 450, I'm not sure if we'll get there. The tokenomics are not perfect, so there will be some selling pressure on it. But the way at which it's growing with the other smart contract platform metrics, it could definitely get up there for sure. SK, what Bitcoin miner besides CleanSpark are you most bullish on? Big on Greenridge Generation merge with support.com, Bitfarms myself. I analyzed for my mining video I did last week. I went through every single one, built valuation models and comparisons and scored them in great detail. CleanSpark came out top. It's up nearly 30% since I got in, since that video. I like Hut 8 as well because of their scale. In fact, I'll tweet something tomorrow. Follow me on Twitter. I have this new metric to look at miners, which is a function of their quarterly Bitcoin production as a percentage of market cap. And it'll give you an idea as to which ones are good and which ones are bad. But Bitfarm is actually quite good based on that ratio. So follow me on Twitter to find that out tomorrow. Nathan Patton, what is to keep Bitcoin from being manipulated like gold if we get futures ETF? The ownership. So basically, if you look at gold, 100x value of gold is actually paper traded. You'll never be able to. You could do that with futures and options on Bitcoin, but it's very, very risky if it turns against you. And you have new money coming in and whales that have existing money, and they could just fight each other and wipe each other out. So I'm not as concerned. It will not be as manipulated as the gold market. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. Mustachio Cam, I have an opportunity to purchase a company stock. we'll have to sell 9K in crypto. Stock has averaged 15% per year with dividends averaging 8 to 10% a year paid quarterly. So for me, I would never, ever, ever invest in a dividend paying stock. Anything that pays dividends is a company that doesn't know how to invest in their future. Therefore, it'll never be hypergrowth. Therefore, it won't have good returns from a capital gains alpha perspective. I wouldn't touch it. Keep your money in crypto. Not financial advice, Sashikon, but analyze any dividend stock over the last 10 years. The returns suck. Really, really suck. So, again, somebody asked Elon Musk yesterday, are you going to pay a dividend? He's like, why would I pay a dividend? I've got so much I need to invest in to keep the growth of the company going. So again, think of a dividend paying stock as a stock with no growth. Stock with no growth has no upside. Real simple. Joshua Cross, how does Rune Thorchain stack up in the crypto compendium? It doesn't stack up well, but I nearly bought it at $3 after it was hacked because I thought I'd go to 10, and it did, but it doesn't do well at all, Joshua. Not something I would hold. David Guest, how can Bitcoin be used as currency when its price is so volatile? Even pricing in sats will change every day. So, David, interesting question, but I'll give you a little case in point. You got El Salvador. A lot of people got $30 on their wallet. The people that started out made 12% already if they still hold the $30 of crypto. The people that got their wallet over the last week to 10 days made 20%. So yes, there is volatility, but you got to think the overall trend is up. Your dollars in your pocket are shrinking by 15%. I guarantee you, literally guarantee you, Bitcoin will go up by more than 15% every year, minimum, and you can take that to the grave. And it's, of course, assuming it doesn't blow up and go to zero, which is always a 1% chance or 0.4% chance, depending on how you look at it. So from that perspective, there's no problem. Like I park my fiat in Bitcoin because I know it's a safe place to be. Even with tax ramifications, I know I'm going to be better off. So it will be volatile, but the volatility goes like this. Up, up, up. And the future's bright. Connor HODL, will silver ever bounce? So disappointed with it. I'm glad you asked. Precious metals, like people like Robert Kiyosaki telling the world all year to buy silver. I went from $28.50 down to $21, and it continues to suck. Now, what I don't get is it has a lot of industrial use that's very required for kind of green technologies as we go forward, and it still sucks. But remember, it's very easy to mine, and there's tons of it in the earth. So it's like lithium. It's pretty easy to find, so it's not scarce. There's only one super scarce. There's only one the hardest asset on earth. The scarcest asset on earth is what we're talking about today, Bitcoin. So if you hold silver, it should get back to $25, maybe $30 in the next year. But Bitcoin's going to do a lot more than make your 20% or 30%. So I really hope that helps. SK, why so bullish on CleanSpark? So the management is not iffy. They have a whole entire business that is going to be extremely powerful with the whole Green New Deal, the whole environmental movement, and the way they're ramping up their crypto mining. If you compare the amount that they mine, and they just started, by the way, in January, the amount that they mine compared to Riot and Hive is almost on par for the first 2 quarters this year. And they just began. So that's why I love CleanSpark. It's super cheap. It's going to $40. Not financial advice. But yeah, it's a great one. MotoJB. Hey, Josh. Better to let alts like Chili's, Bitcoin Cash, it's a run. No. I'll say this very clear. I have a small position in Chili's. Like I threw $500 at it for fun because I bought it 24 cents, I think it was. And I will be selling it at 40 cents, maybe 50 cents. Chili's is highly risky. I wouldn't touch it as a part of a portfolio. It's just for like playing, like going to a casino. Bitcoin Cash, get rid of it. Ethereum Classic, get rid of it. These things are not, they're just garbage. 98% of your portfolio should be things that are not these things. They're extremely bad. So, yeah, get into Bitcoin, get into Solana, get into Ethereum, get into Chainlink, get into Polkadot, get into Uniswap, get into Aave. These are all very, very safe bets. That stuff is Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum Classic. They're fake imitations of what you really need to be in. So be careful there. RX for vibes. I know you hate these questions, but dying to know your opinion. Oh God, I hate these questions. Okay, first of all, if you have 25 Bitcoin, you need to make sure you have your security locked down and nobody knows what RX4 Vibes is, because that's a lot. I'm not even going to mention some of the other things. You have an extremely large bag. Wow. Yeah, you are in good shape. I would lighten up the load on a couple of things. Like Phantom, Luna, and Cardano. The rest of the things are really solid holdings. And I've analyzed all of them, but I think those three are kind of the weak areas of your portfolio. Not saying they won't go up further, but they are not as strong from a quant perspective as the other names. KC Perception, China and Taiwan issues. Do you see value in semiconductor foundry stocks based outside of the region? I do. I think they will be huge acquisition targets, particularly South Korean foundry stocks and anything else. And I don't know why. I can talk about the US infrastructure deal. They should dedicate half of that $3.5 trillion to building foundries in the US. But don't get me started about semiconductors and how important they are. But yeah, really, really important. Great question. Billy McAlpin, me and my wife are going hard to CleanSpark. Do you give a price prediction for this bull run? Yeah, check out my video on CleanSpark and all the miners last week. But remember, I always say this, miners are extremely risky. It's a cutthroat business. They're making a ton of money right now because the Chinese miners shut down. But as soon as other mining companies come online in other parts of the world, like Kazakhstan and El Salvador and the Ukraine and Iran, then it'll become more competitive again when the hash rate starts going up. So don't expect them to be minting 9 Bitcoin a day, as is the case with some of these guys. So just be careful. Small piece. I invested in CleanSpark, got into a very big synthetic long because I like to play. And it was at $10.83, I think. And that was a great deal for that company. But they come with a lot more risk than just having Bitcoin. So be careful. Crypto Captain Ron. I also own HUD8 too, by the way. They're the two mining companies that I own. And they both came out on top of my analysis. And my analysis is completely objective. And in fact, I didn't even know anything about CleanSpark before I spent 2 days analyzing those stocks. Crypto Captain Ron, would you ever recommend moving altcoin funding other than top 3, ESOL, etc., over to Bitcoin? And at what stage? And when, if not now? I'd say let some of the things run right now. Everything is kind of cyclical. So you're going to see money flowing in and out of different things. But the winners will continue to float to the top and continue to do well and continue to attract dollars. So one of the reasons I love the names that I love is because that's where the money's going. That's where the money's being pumped into. And that brings everything up. So, in terms of the performance, I do believe ETH and SOL will run faster than Bitcoin. So hold off on getting into Bitcoin now. But then again, if all the stuff I just showed you regarding the supply and the supply shock of Bitcoin is true, Bitcoin could go parabolic and we could get into what they call hyper Bitcoinization real fast. And that wouldn't surprise me. Again, look at the graphic of the very first slide, the one coin on the shelf. That's a great way to visualize. And a big thank you as well to our graphics designer for putting that together. Zach Cran, would love to know your thoughts on Moon River. I had a look at it, and again, it didn't qualify. It wasn't perfect from many, many perspectives, but I know it's extremely popular right now, but it's not something I'd invest in. So I'm happy with the stable of horses that I have. So, and there's a lot of things that are kind of, imagine the spectrum of 0 to 100. 0 is complete garbage and 100 is Bitcoin. And I map everything out in between. And the Moon River comes in at a score of about 40. So it's in the top 40th percentile. But if you look at the top 300 cryptos, there's 100 that are better than it from my perspective. So I hope that helps. Gitanjali, would you recommend Solflare for soul staking? Yes, or Exodus. They both work perfectly well. Chad G, are you 007 fan? And if so, Connery Moore, Dalton, Lassenboy, or Craig? You're a 007. That's so funny. I used to watch those things when I was a kid, those movies, and I thought they were funny. But I do think the modern guy, Daniel Craig, is great. And I heard that maybe a guy called Iris Elba, something like that, will be the new one. And I'd love to see that because he's a real tough guy. Or that's the other guy. They need to mix it up a bit. But Daniel Craig is good as well because he does a lot of his own stunts and he's less prissy and his movies are more realistic, more hard hitting, I should say. And thank you so much, Chad. And thank you for your donations as well. Spartian, take care of your health. I will. I love being here though. Artision T, thank you for everything you do for us. You guys are too kind. Let roll to Crypto AI, the Milk Trader, Joseph Punti, Capono, Isaac Rurengo, Jerry Rose, Richard One, Jeff's always there, Mike Mancuso, Rowan Chand, Red Soul, Gyro Fatera, Steve G, Uo Matamas. So we got a Russian here, great. Mo, Samuel Brook, Sleepless, Hilarion Castro, Spunky Phuket, and Syed Mued. And a big good night, everybody. I think this will be a great weekend. And remember, the stock markets in the US are closed on Monday, but crypto's always open. Good night. See you tomorrow for the quickie in the morning. Bye.